Part 70. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womang. Chapter 691. He was sitting in his study, searching for all the ancient records he could find. That beautiful figure in white clothes has been lingering in Suliang's head for a long time, which makes Suliang very concerned. Don't know why. There was a sense of urgency in his heart, and he was very eager to find out what the beautiful figure in white represented. Suliang had a hunch that this result might be very important. But after searching many ancient books, Suliang found nothing. Ancient books record many magnificent figures wearing white clothes, but without exception, the strength of those people may not be as high as that of true Lord Liasu. How could such a person be the real cause of true Lord Liasu's death? And that level of cultivation was not something that Wan Qing, who was still in the ascending state, could not sense. Closing the book, Suliang sighed. Weird, really weird. Chapter 596 Chapter 595 5-star Cao Thief, the final simulation. It's obviously just one person. Based on what Suliang saw in the simulation, this person should be very powerful. It stands to reason that even if he is an extremely ancient person, there should be records in ancient books. But why, after searching so much, he still couldn't find a correct answer? Although Suliang usually has no habit of collecting ancient books. But this is the Holy Mountain City after all, and there are many rare and ancient books preserved. If they were all sorted out, their rarity and quantity would probably be no worse than that of a previous sect. Not to mention, the Holy Land is around you, and the Holy Lord 11 Hang is there. With the current relationship between 11 Hang and Suliang, 11 Hang can move all the records of the Holy Land here as long as Suliang wants. As a holy place, many of the records are the most secret and almost unknown to anyone. But even in such a vast sea of records, the figure of the beautiful figure in white is still not found. This really puzzled Suliang, and at the same time, he felt more and more mysterious about that beautiful figure in white. Since there is no record even in the Holy Land, where should I look for it? For a moment, Suliang was a little confused. He wanted to investigate, but he couldn't. At this moment, Wan Qing, who had been waiting for Suliang, stretched out, and her beautiful and proud figure was clearly revealed at this moment. My dear disciple, what are you looking for? Why haven't you found it yet? Wan Qing looked at Suliang blankly. Ever since dinner, Suliang has been looking for these books and has not stopped looking for them until now. And looking at it now, I still haven't found it? What is it, so mysterious and hard to find? Even the Fuxi abyss that my master found last time, which is known as the leader of dragon veins in the world, does not have such secrets. I told master, she is a woman in white. Suliang spread his hands, feeling helpless, and said seriously. This person is really important, but there are no clues anywhere. After hearing this, Wan Qing immediately became serious. She didn't doubt that Suliang had any thoughts about the woman in white. After all, they were characters she had to look for in books from ancient times. How could they still appear now? Only. This is the first time that my master attaches so much importance to a person and spends all his sleep and food searching for him. This made Wan Qing feel very strange. What's the name of the woman in white? Wan Qing asked curiously, wanting to help Suliang search for it. Have no idea. Suliang shook his head. So, what does she look like? Have no idea. What era is she from, and what has she done? Have no idea. Now, Wan Qing was helpless. Is it okay to ask 3 questions? There are no clues, only a man in white clothes, and he still wants to find it? In this world, for countless years, there have been many people who like to wear white clothes, and there are countless people who have been recorded, not to mention those who have not been recorded. There is no way to count them. How to find this? I didn't expect that my master would do such unreliable things. But then, Wanqing became serious again. It is precisely because of its unreliability that this matter appears serious. She knew Suliang very well. Judging from Suliang's stability, he would never have done such a thing unless it was extremely urgent. And now, since this very absurd scene has appeared, doesn't that mean that this matter is very important? But it's important and there's nothing we can do about it? There are too few clues to find. With a sigh, Wanqing stood up, took Suliang's hand and walked out. Let's just come here today and take a rest first. You've been tired for a long day. Wait for tomorrow, I will ask the sisters to help you look for it, and then spread the news. There will always be a result. That's all we have to do. Suliang nodded and didn't insist on anything. He also knew that his idea was a bit ridiculous. But there was nothing he could do. He only had these few clues in his hand, what else could he do? I can only do what my master said, take a rest for the time being, and wait until tomorrow to go look for it with my ladies. All the way to Wanqing's room. Pulling Suliang to sit down, Wanqing leaned into Suliang's arms with a happy smile on her face. Such a scene was something she had not been able to ask for hundreds of years before, and she would even dream about it. I thought this day would never come. But in the end, I still waited for this moment. It feels so good to have you by my side again. However, Suliang didn't feel Wanqing's warm and happy feeling at all. Instead, he coughed lightly and tentatively said, "Why don't we just rest now? Don't get me wrong, I'm just talking about resting, nothing else." After hearing this, Wanqing narrowed her beautiful eyes and glanced down. Tisk, 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 I didn't expect that you are just dealing with a few of us sisters, but you can't do it. Who can't do it? Suliang immediately retorted. It's just that we have to balance work and rest. We still have a long time, so there's no need to rush, right? When one's cultivation reaches their level, it would be too exaggerated and unrealistic to say that they are immortal, but their longevity can also be said to be extremely long. Being together for a long time is a matter of course. There are at least hundreds or thousands of years left in your life, so why rush for this night, right? Ahem, I just want to take a vacation by myself, why is it so difficult? Tisk, tisk, I didn't expect that my good disciple would make excuses for himself. Wanqing didn't believe what Suliang said at all. She raised her eyebrows and teased. It's okay. I can understand you, my teacher. After all, we sisters are not weak. It's really too much for you to do it alone. Don't worry, I won't do anything tonight, I want you to cultivate yourself. Oh, by the way, I will also tell others that Lang Jun is no longer able to do it, so let him rest for a few more days. After hearing this, Suliang immediately felt helpless. Since Master said so, I will let Master see how powerful I am. Suliang gritted his teeth and said. It depends on who we end up with. Then. Early the next morning, Wanqing woke up very late. It wasn't until noon that Wanqing finally woke up. After moving a little, Wanqing took a breath of cold air and felt that there was no pain all over her body. However, there was nothing she could do. It was all his own fault, and of course he had to bear the consequences. After all, it was she who stimulated her master last night. Then what? My master didn't stop all night? Not again and again, but a true shot to the end, never pausing, until early in the morning, when it finally ended. Wanqing, on the other hand, has always been like falling into the clouds, drifting away and forgetting everything, and has never come down. At that time, he didn't feel anything at all. The stimulation is really exciting, but it also really hurts afterwards. Even Wanqing's current strength is somewhat unbearable. It's easy to imagine how strong this intensity is. Humph, Don't you know anything about Liangxiangziyu? Wan Qing snorted softly, but a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. Forget it, let's not argue with him. Anyway, what I said last night actually meant the same thing. Originally, I wanted to stimulate him so that the time last night would not be wasted. Although the development of his expression was a bit beyond my expectation, at least the result was good. Wonking reaches the stomach in one step and is satisfied. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 692. After slowly regulating her body with her true energy, Wan Qing felt that the pain had almost disappeared without a trace. But by doing this, I just want to make myself feel more comfortable. With such a good opportunity, how could he not go to his master for some benefits? This is just for my own benefit, not to argue with him. As for the benefits, just do it again tonight. Please continue, I'm okay. Then, after getting dressed and pretending to be limping, Wan Qing walked towards the door, hoping to find her master, begging for a hug and getting some benefits. However, as soon as she opened the door, Qin Benjao walked past her. Hey, Sister Wonking, are you up? Qin Benjao looked at Wan Qing in surprise. The breakfast Sulang left for you is set aside. It's still hot. You can go and eat some first. But having said that, looking at the sky now, it should be lunch already. Brunch. That's about it. But Qin Benjao was still surprised that Wan Qing was able to make it in time for breakfast. Before going to bed last night, she had already heard the noise coming from Wan Qing and Suliang. When I woke up early this morning, the movement over there hadn't stopped yet. Plus during the day, even she would be surprised by such intensity, and thought Wan Qing would sleep until night. What are you? Wan Qing looked at Qin Benjao with confusion. I saw. Qin Benjao was walking in a hurry. Even when she walked just now, she walked quickly. If Wan Qing hadn't suddenly appeared, she would have disappeared long ago. The most important thing is that she is holding a stack of books in her arms. Some of them look new, but some of them look like they have been there for some years. Go help Sulang. Qin Benjao tilted her head and glanced at Wan Qing. Sulang said he told you last night. Oh, this. Wan Qing suddenly realized, no wonder Qin Benjao was so interested in this girl. It turned out that it was about her master. That woman in white. Who is he that makes his master care so much? And I vaguely remember the way my master looked when he asked me yesterday afternoon, as if I should know that woman. But Wan Qing really has no impression. Wait for me, I'll go too. Wan Qing hurriedly walked out of the room, waved, and the breakfast placed on the table beside came into her hands. Chapter 597. Chapter 596. The final chapter, the Imperial Road opens again, the end of the world of mortals. Eat your breakfast quickly. Wan Qing quickly followed Qin Benjao and came to the study together. However, as soon as she came in, Wan Qing was a little confused. The study room, which was originally relatively quiet, is now extremely noisy and lively. Almost everyone in the family is concentrated in this small area. Some brought the latest ancient books to Suliang, some helped Suliang search for them, and some found some clues for Suliang to identify. Especially 11 Hang and Ji Hongchen. The two people even started to quarrel. This is your magic book? That's it? 11 Hang looked at some of the classics Ji Hongchen sent and said with some disdain. The time is too short, and we can only find so much for the time being. Ji Hongchen, grinding his silver teeth. What can I do? Our demonic path doesn't have a place like your righteous holy land. She usually lives in the original demon sect. Although the original demon sect is powerful, it is just a sect, and of course it is not as good as the collection of the entire righteous holy land. But I have issued an order to honor the Emperor and ask the Demon Deo sect to transport all the classics to the original Demon section. When the time comes, I will just go and pick them up in person. Anyone who dares to hide them will be killed without mercy. Ji Hongchen snorted lightly, feeling very proud. Why, 11 Hing, do you dare to do this? The devil dared to do such overbearing and arrogant things, and because of Ji Hongchen's strength, no one dared to disobey. But as a righteous person, 11 Hang simply cannot do this. The two parties are acting differently, and there is nothing that can be done about it. And just when the two were quarreling, Qin Binjao put the pile of books aside and got directly into Suliang's arms. Sitting on Suliang's lap, Qin Binjao rubbed the sides of Suliang's forehead distressedly. Suliang, don't be too anxious. The sisters are all helping you. You should also take a break, okay? I'm fine. As long as I hold my Binjao, it's a good rest. Suliang smiled gently and rubbed Qin Binjao's little face. Well, my girlfriend's energy has been replenished, let's continue. On the other side, Qin Binjao was overjoyed because of her husband's attitude. Hum, you go on, let me eat your husband secretly for a while. He put his little head on Suliang's shoulder and kissed Suliang's face gently. Qin Binjao said softly. In this case, I will always stay with Suliang. And just then, Tao Yaoyao and Mu Qingqian ran in from outside, looking a little panicked. Brother Suliang, something big happened. This time, it's a big event that shocked the world. And at the same time, the system's voice also sounded in Suliang's ears. The 5-star Cao Thief assessment has begun. This assessment is the final assessment, and the assessment task is also the final task. Please host to complete the final simulation carefully and find the truth hidden behind the fog. It's actually a new Cao Thief assessment. And it's still the final assessment. Suliang was stunned for a moment, unable to react. The system has been with him for such a long time. Suliang never expected that he would actually face the day of the final assessment. And then, the system voice appeared again. In view of the difficulty of the final assessment, the host can be given hints. The origin of the host, ancient taboos, and the little maid I met. Chapter 907, The Imperial Road opens again. Final mission, final simulation. These two consecutive endings caught Suliang off guard. Since coming to this world and getting the system, Suliang has gone through several simulations, large and small. Although the presence of the system is not very strong in many cases, it can play a key role every time. Now, are we about to welcome the final simulation and mission? And, judging from the description of the system, this final task may be very difficult. About your origins. Ancient taboo. What other little maids did you meet? These three keywords seemed to have no connection at all, and they were extremely different from each other. Even if he wanted to connect them, Suliang had no clue for a while. But Suliang is indeed a little interested in the question of his origin. From the beginning, Suliang thought that he was just a time traveler, coming from another world. Because of being a time traveler, he was hated by the protagonist of this world. But all the way to now, Suliang had to become suspicious. Behind those simulations, there are obviously many profound meanings, and each one seems to be one's own self in the previous life. This world is full of traces left by ourselves in each life. If it were just a simple time traveler, how could it be like this? And if it were just that simple, the system would not regard this as the final task. So, even if Suliang didn't want to believe it, he had to admit that there might be a big problem with his identity. And all this will be revealed in this final simulation. But when can this last simulation be triggered? Ancient taboos, and the little maid I met, what are these? Suliang couldn't figure it out at all and had no clue at all. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womang. Chapter 693. Next moment. Suliang raised his head and looked at Tao Yaoyao and Mu Qingqian, who were still out of breath. As soon as the two mentioned that a big event had happened, the system changed on their side. This time is really a bit too coincidental. Is there any relationship between this? After frowning and thinking for a moment, Suliang planned to ask first. Anyway, this is all a clue. Don't worry, take a rest first. Suliang took Tao Yaoyao and Mu Qingqian to sit aside. Drink some tea and take a rest first. No matter how big the matter is, I, Master and the others are here, so everything will be fine. But this matter is really important. Tao Yaoyao took a breath and then said. Mu Qingqian and I just went to find those people to investigate, and overheard them talking about something. The Imperial Road is open again. Immediately. Tao Yaoyao asked a little confused. Brother Suliang, what exactly is this dialogue? You don't even know, why are you in such a hurry? Suliang patted Tao Yaoyao's little head in a funny way. Mu Qingqian said that it might be of great use to Brother Suliang. Mu Qingqian has never lied to anyone about Brother Suliang. Tao Yaoyao pouted and muttered, looking a little aggrieved. Okay, I blamed you wrongly. Suliang touched Tao Yaoyao's little head and comforted her with a smile. Immediately. He frowned and thought about this matter carefully. The Imperial Road, the ancient taboo, is there any connection between them? In the process of searching for the beautiful figure in white clothes, Suliang had read records about the Imperial Road. The so-called Imperial Road is actually the road to becoming emperor. Only those who have passed all the trials, defeated all the enemies encountered, and sat on the throne of the emperor are qualified to proclaim themselves emperor. The one who claims to be emperor is immortal and immortal for 100 calamities. That is not just about transcending time. I am afraid that the existence of the emperor has surpassed all the laws of this world. This is true invincibility, true immortality. Only. The Imperial Road has appeared several times, but no one has been able to pass through it, become emperor and achieve immortality. But now that the Imperial Road is reopened, what does it mean? Inexplicably, Suliang remembered the keyword in the system just now. Ancient taboos. What is the connection with Dilu? No matter what, I still have to go and see it. With Suliang's extraordinary cultivation and strength, it would be fine if he didn't encounter it. Now that he has encountered this so-called imperial path, of course he has to give it a try. Perhaps. The final simulation of the system, the final mission, and the answers to all these questions will be revealed in it. Then. Suliang stood up and said to his ladies. When the Imperial Road opens again, why don't we go take a look? Of course I'm going. Qin Benjao immediately jumped up and shouted. With her strength, she has never thought about proclaiming herself emperor or anything like that. It might be possible if it were a few years later, but the current Qin Benjao is indeed a little behind. But it doesn't matter, it's the same to see your husband become emperor with your own eyes. Well, let's go take a look together. I have always heard about Diluc. Now that I have the chance to meet him, of course I can't let this opportunity pass me by. Tan Kinja also nodded, very excited. Since you want to go, let's go together. Wan Qing said with a smile, not having the slightest objection to Suliang's decision. If you are lucky enough to see Diluc once, you shouldn't miss it. Ying Kaoj and Qin Wanyu also nodded. As for Tao Yaoyao and Mu Qingqian, they are already ready. It's not just them. Even Jing Meng, Yuji, 11 Heng, Ji Hongchen, and others are eager to try. These few of them have reached the peak of their strength at this time, and now they will not miss it when they encounter the world's top trial like the Emperor's Road. Even if you can't become emperor in the end, as long as you go through these trials once, it is worth it and will be of great benefit to your strength. Turning to look at the ladies beside him, Suliang took a deep breath. In that case, let's get ready and set off. Immediately. Coming to Ying Kaoj, Suliang took her hand and whispered. Chao Ji, please bring Yefei with you. This time, this girl cannot be left out. No matter what, the reopening of the Imperial Road is a great opportunity, and the benefits will definitely far exceed everyone's imagination. Although it was dangerous, Suliang was confident that he could protect his ladies. After all, the lineup in the room now can be said to be the most luxurious and powerful existence in the entire world. The Holy Master of the Righteous Path, the Demonic Emperor, the Queen of the Abyss, 2 Sect Masters, Tan Kinja who is powerful and charming, an Empress of Daxia, a Queen Mother of Daxia, 3 peerless geniuses, and Suliang whose strength is beyond the world. If this lineup cannot protect itself in the Imperial Path, then no one in the so-called Imperial Path will be able to claim the title of Emperor. Of course, Ying Kaoj would not refuse his husband's idea. He nodded and went straight to Daxia to find Yefei. After waiting for a while, after everything was prepared and everyone was present, Suliang and others set off directly. Chapter 598 Chapter 597, at the end of the Imperial Road, the beautiful figure who has been waiting for thousands of years. The end of the Imperial Road. On the throne. Sitting on it dressed in white, his expression was indifferent and cold. If the Imperial Road opens again, will he appear? Indistinctly, a faint murmur sounded at the end of the Imperial Road. After Suliang and others gathered together, they set off directly to the Imperial Road without any further stop. Tao Yaoyao and Mu Qingqian only knew that the Imperial Road was reopened, but they did not find out where the Imperial Road was. But this will not cause any hindrance to Suliang and others. Such a big event as the reopening of the Imperial Road caused an uproar in the whole world. As long as Suliang and others asked casually on the road, they would know its specific location. This is already an open secret, but no one wants to hide it from Suliang and others. The most important thing is that I can't stop it. Even though sect masters were no match against Suliang and others, and would only be crushed. Should he talk about it after being beaten, or should he tell Suliang and the others the news honestly? It seems that this is not a very difficult choice. Furthermore, each of the girls in the Su family has their own identity, and naturally they also have their own channels for information. It is really easy to find out where the Emperor's Road is. Then, under the leadership of Suliang, everyone moved very quickly. In just a moment, they arrived in front of the Imperial Road. As soon as they arrived, Qin Binjao and others were a little shocked. Because of the previous changes in the Abyss, the number of top powerhouses they saw were not few. Most of them are still under Suliang and obey Suliang's orders. At that meeting, almost the entire world's sect masters, hidden powerhouses, and even those who had not been involved in world affairs for a long time were all found. The scene was very grand and spectacular. And now, the scene that appeared in front of Suliang and others was worse than that time. Even many people Suliang had never seen at that time also appeared here. The auras rise one after another, and they are unparalleled in strength. Some of them are very ancient themselves, and they are no less than the friend of their master in the Holy Land. After all, it is an imperial path that rarely appears. Its appearance itself represents an opportunity and a hope of becoming emperor. Even those old monsters who live in seclusion in the mountains and forests and have not been involved in world affairs for a long time may not have the idea of becoming emperor in their hearts. They can ignore the invasion of hundreds of abyss tribes and continue to practice in seclusion. But they were unwilling to give up such a huge opportunity as Dailu. If he could become emperor on his own path. Although his strength may not be the strongest among these people, he is still among the top ones. There was never any hope of becoming emperor. Countless people have this thought in their hearts. How come there are so many people? Tao Yaoyao said with some surprise, even the last time they fought against the abyss together, she had never seen so many strong men. Even though all the sisters in her family are rare strong people in the world, and her mother is also one of the top strong people, Tao Yaoyao is used to seeing these strongest people in the world. But nowadays, this kind of scene where strong people gather together, as common as pedestrians on the roadside, still inevitably makes people feel a little shocked, and even gives rise to the idea that strong people are worthless. And at the same time, just when Suliang and others appeared, everyone present suddenly fell silent. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 694. Those ancient strong men who have been living in seclusion may not know Suliang, Wanqing, Tan Qinjia, or even Yuji. But everyone still knows 11 Hang and Ji Hongchen. A holy master of the righteous way, and an emperor of the evil way. When did these two people get together? Moreover, it seems to be very harmonious. This is simply unbelievable. But then, everyone immediately realized that the purpose of 11 Hang and Ji Hongchen appearing here was self-evident. This person is clearly here to seek the throne and seek to become emperor. Moment. Everyone felt a lot of pressure. 11 Hang and Ji Hongchen have been famous for a long time. One is the Holy Lord of the righteous path, and the other is the demonic emperor. They have been in their respective positions for hundreds of years. Apart from the other, they are almost invincible in the world. Do you want to compete with yourself for such an existence? There is no confidence at all. Then, in order to find out the purpose of 11 He Ying and Ji Hongchen, someone came forward and bowed respectfully before asking. I wonder what the Holy Lord and the Emperor are doing when they come together. We came with him. Ji Hongchen was lying on Suliang's back with a smile on his face. He looked quite well behaved. This discovery made everyone stunned. Is the person in front of me who looks like a little girl in love really the legendary Demon Dao Emperor Ji Hongchen who commands the entire Demon Dao? Where can there be such a demonic emperor? Who is this? A hidden powerful man asked in confusion. Unlike others, he did not know Suliang at all because he came out of seclusion because of the emperor's path. Suliang. Suliang cupped his hands and was a little polite. And Ji Hongchen said immediately. My man. Immediately. After thinking about it, he pointed at 11 Hang and said. It's hers too. Originally I didn't plan to bring 11 Hang with me, but after thinking about it carefully, it seems that I and 11 Hang are now a family. Although they still dislike each other a bit, they are still sisters, so of course there can be no internal conflicts. Forget it, just take her with you. Just in time, it can still deter those young people with evil intentions. After hearing Ji Hongchen's words, he looked at 11 Hang and nodded lightly, clearly agreeing. Everyone was scared to death. Although each of them is a rare and powerful person in the world who has been famous for a long time. But compared with 11 Hang and Ji Hongchen, they are actually ordinary. The fighting power of these two people can be said to represent the pinnacle of the world. But now, two people at the pinnacle of the world actually became the girlfriend of the same person at the same time. Even if Suliang himself is not good at cultivation, it would be easy to become emperor, right? Not to mention. Everyone took a deep look at Suliang, felt a little, and became serious. It was different from the last time I saw Suliang, when Suliang first entered the realm of transcendence. At this moment, Suliang couldn't even see through their cultivation. Faintly, he could feel an extremely strong pressure from Suliang. This pressure was no stronger than 11 He Ying and Ji Hongchen. Weak. How can this be? We haven't seen each other for just a few months. How did Suliang cultivate to this point? The reality was so ridiculous that everyone couldn't believe it for a while, but they had to believe it. Seeing everyone's appearance, the other strong men who were living in seclusion asked in confusion. After learning the truth, he looked at Suliang with serious eyes. This one is also a formidable enemy. It is the biggest obstacle on his way to becoming emperor. If you want to be emperor, whether it's Suliang, 11 Heng, or Ji Hongchen, they must be resolved as soon as possible. As soon as this thought came to this point, several people quickly communicated with each other and made up their minds. Immediately, while Suliang was chatting with everyone, several rays of cold light suddenly appeared, heading straight towards Suliang, aiming directly at his vital points. There are countless people competing for it, but in the end there is only one person who can become emperor and achieve everything. Of course, this dominance can be said to be extremely cruel, with murderous fights everywhere. Even if you haven't entered the imperial road yet, it's the same. To this, Suliang had already been prepared, so the moment the opponent made a move, Suliang reacted immediately and subconsciously wanted to fight back. However, before Suliang could take action, 11 Heng and Ji Hongchen suddenly took action. The combination of two of the best people in the world is almost unmatched. Just for a moment, the few people who took action fell to the ground, looking in pain and almost losing their vitality. Among them, there were people from the righteous way and the evil way mixed, but the two of them showed no mercy at all when they started to fight. Don't overestimate your capabilities. Ji Hongchen sneered and glanced at them lightly. And the other side. 11 Heng didn't say anything, but just took a step closer to Suliang. His attitude was extremely obvious. See this. Everyone was shocked and looked at each other. No one dared to say another word, for fear that if they didn't say something right, they would be hit by Ji Hongchen and 11 Heng like a storm. I originally thought that if we join forces, we might be able to kick this biggest opponent out of the imperial road. Now it seems, whether it was Suliang's own strength or the protection of 11 Heng, Ji Hongchen, and others, they couldn't cope with it. The gap in strength makes them seem insignificant no matter how they join forces. From this point of view, it can only be solved in the imperial path. There are many trials in the imperial road, and no matter how strong a person is, there will always be times when they are unaware of it. At that time, it will be their chance. Then, with this thought, everyone became quiet, but found familiar people to stand together, waiting to enter the imperial road. Maybe they could help each other. Certainly. In the face of such a huge opportunity to become emperor, no one can believe that no matter how good their relationship is at ordinary times, they will be on guard against each other at this moment. Except Suliang and others. That's fine. Let's scare them now. Once we enter the imperial road, there will be fewer people trying to take advantage of us. Suliang said with a smile. In this case, why don't we join forces and eliminate these people? Wan Qing said thoughtfully. The imperial road does need to fight for hegemony, but if these people can't enter the imperial road, then why fight for hegemony? Aren't they the ones who will win in the end? Ahem, no need to. Suliang coughed lightly, feeling very surprised at his master's brain circuit. I don't want to compete for hegemony, so I have to eliminate all the contenders in advance. How on earth did you come up with this? And just then, above the sky, a loud roar suddenly erupted. Space is turbulent, time flows backwards, everything is reversed, and boundless chaos sweeps over everyone in an instant. Chapter 599 Chapter 598 The Trial of the Imperial Road. This moment, as if all the rules had failed, an extremely horrifying scene erupted. Immediately afterwards, above the sky, a misty glow suddenly rose, and a broad, ancient, and mysterious ancient road appeared in front of everyone. The ancient road is very wide. Even if hundreds of people walk shoulder to shoulder, there will be no problem. It can avoid a lot of fighting when entering. And on that ancient road, there are countless incomprehensible inscriptions engraved on it. As the spiritual energy rises, the aura of Yudao is actually flowing in it. Even Suliang would understand after just one glance. It can be said. This ancient road is already the ultimate Tao. Is this the imperial road? Suliang was very emotional. Just a road can have such a powerful effect. What kind of existence can such a thing be constructed? The existence of the person who built this imperial road is beyond imagination. It is said that this road is the manifestation of the rules of the Great Road. 11 Hang also explained to Suliang with a little emotion. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 695. The existence of the Emperor has transcended all powers in the world and surpassed the understanding of all of us, and this imperial path to become Emperor represents the birth of the great Emperor. How could such an existence be constructed by human power? There seems to be no other explanation other than the handwriting of Tao itself. Hearing this, Suliang nodded and reluctantly agreed with this view. Eternal immortality and immortality for 100 calamities. Such power may have exceeded the rules that this world can accommodate, right? Is such a thing really created by the existence of Tao? After frowning and thinking for a while, Suliang shook his head and put these inexplicable thoughts aside. Now is no longer the time to think. Even if you still have some doubts, there will always be a way to solve it after you get deeper into the imperial path. The most urgent task is to enter the imperial road first and take a look. He raised his head again and looked at the imperial road. There, many people had already stepped on it and were trying to get deeper into it. Suliang turned to look at his girlfriend. Why don't we go up and have a look too? To this. Of course the girls would not disagree. Then. Suliang waved his hand, and several sword energies appeared at everyone's feet. Stepping on the sword energy and under Suliang's control, the girls flew all the way and appeared in front of the Emperor's road in just an instant. However, at this moment, Suliang frowned, and his figure changed rapidly. He flashed in front of Qin Benjiao, Ying Kaoch, Qin Wanyu, Tao Yao Yao, Mu Qingqi and Yefei, and patted them lightly on the head. With this slap, a sword intent poured in, and far and constant power seeped out from the sword intent, supporting Qin Benjiao and others. I was careless. I didn't expect that the trial had already started outside the imperial road. Suliang was a little emotional. All I can say is that it is indeed dialogue. When facing this kind of existence, there really cannot be any mistakes. The moment he approached the imperial road, Suliang felt a strong sense of oppression coming from the imperial road. Of course, this so-called power is only for Qin Benjiao and others. Suliang, Wan Qing, 11 He Ying and others didn't care, but facing this kind of oppression, Qin Benjiao and others couldn't even sustain it for half a quarter of an hour. And in this oppression, there is still a faint aura of Tao, permeating the air, making this oppression extremely dangerous. If Suliang had not used his sword power to protect Qin Benjiao and others just now, I am afraid that in just an instant, they would have been seriously injured, or even affected by the aura of these Tao, falling into a deep sleep from which they would never be able to wake up. Come to think of it, this should be Dailu screening? Screening out all those who are not qualified to embark on this path in this way? Be careful and stay with me. Suliang told the girls to take the first step and step on the imperial road. Next moment, Suliang's expression changed slightly. He felt a heavy pressure from this imperial road. There are trials outside the imperial road, but there are trials on this imperial road. Taking this step up, it felt like there was a mountain suppressing him. It was like being stuck in a quagmire, and every step was extremely difficult. Stepping up with both feet, Suliang felt the strength, but it didn't look too strong. I don't know if it's because he's too strong, or because this is the starting point, not the place with the strongest resistance. But it can make Suliang feel resistance even with his current strength. This place is simply not accessible to others. After thinking for a moment, Suliang looked at his girlfriend behind him. Benjeo, can you come up and try? Among those who are not top-notch, Qin Benjeo is already considered the strongest. And the power of time and space gives her more mobility and error tolerance. What's more, Suliang is here to watch. Even if something unexpected happens, Suliang will be able to react in time and take action immediately. All in all, letting Qin Benjeo try it can be said to be the safest and surest choice. Seeing her husband's expression change several times, Qin Benjeo also realized that something was wrong. Nodding her head, she stepped onto the road to God. Her expression changed slightly, and she uttered a sound of surprise. Hey, on this imperial road, why does it feel like there is a little resistance? Listening to Qin Benjeo's description of his feelings, Suliang nodded imperceptibly. Didn't it get ejected? It seemed that his guess was indeed correct. The resistance on this imperial road is clearly based on the difficulty of adjusting each person's strength, which ensures that the resistance felt by everyone is almost the same. In this case, Suliang felt relieved a lot. If the resistance on this imperial road is a constant value, even except for Suliang and others, Qin Benjeo and others will not be able to pass at all. Okay, it's okay, everyone come up. Suliang smiled at the girls and said. After embarking on this imperial road, we will feel a slight resistance, but it will not be unbearable for us. From this point of view, walking on this imperial road is actually a kind of experience. After hearing Suliang's words, the girls immediately embarked on this imperial path without doubting that he was there. And by the way, I felt the slight resistance. Yefei subconsciously began to use her true energy to resist. Immediately, she said in surprise. Lang Jun, if you circulate the true energy, it will offset this power. After hearing this, Suliang was startled and immediately tried it and found that it was indeed the case. And for him, the amount of real energy consumed is actually not too much. Looking towards the end of this road to the sky, there is a light gate-like existence there, shining with a strange light. It seems to be the place leading to this road that can truly be called the Imperial Road. This distance seemed very far, but with Suliang's consumption of true energy, it was completely manageable. In this case, wouldn't it be easy to cross this road? However, the next moment, he heard Yefei say with some pity. It's just that the consumption of this real energy is a bit too much. If I keep using real energy to offset it, I'm afraid I won't be able to reach the center of this road at all. And if the resistance gets stronger the further this road goes, I'm afraid Yefei won't even be able to reach the center. Do people with different cultivation levels consume different amounts of real energy? From this point of view, I am afraid that except for myself, 11 Hang, Ji Hongchen, Yu and Master, no one can persist until the end. Even Jingmeng may not be able to do it, right? Gotta think of a way. After thinking seriously for a moment, Suliang said to his ladies. If I guess correctly, the resistance on this road must not be of this intensity. The farther you go, the stronger the resistance will be, and the more real energy you will consume. The true energy is limited, so we must save some. Everyone should try to use their own strength to support the progress first, and then use the true energy when they can no longer support it. In this way, it can be regarded as a trial. Immediately. After thinking about it again, Suliang said again. If you are about to lose it, you must tell me in time. Otherwise, none of us can predict what will happen. Okay. Qin Benjeo immediately agreed. Of course she knows the gap between herself and her husband now. What her husband can get through safely, she may not be able to do. Naturally, others had no objections. Then, after everyone was prepared, they moved forward under the pressure. On the way, Suliang met many people who wanted to fight for the imperial road. However, without exception, they all used their true energy to support themselves throughout the process. Suliang just shook his head and ignored it. The strength of these people is far inferior to Jing Meng. If they use their own strength to support it to the extreme and then use their true energy, there may be hope of passing, but at this moment, there is no hope at all. When their true energy is exhausted and they are unable to survive, they will find that they have reached a place where they cannot sustain themselves with their own strength. And the result at that time. Soon, the facts verified Suliang's idea. Not far away, they saw a man who had exhausted his true energy. The pressure was already beyond the limit of his endurance, and they completely crushed him in an instant, killing him on the spot. To this, Suliang and the others just sighed and moved on. And on the way, they actually encountered many people who started fighting. It was already difficult enough to break through here in the prime state, but now you have to waste your true energy. You really stand out and are not afraid of death. Suliang didn't pay attention to these people at all. He had already seen their fate. And just when the journey is about to reach half, Ye Fei took 2 steps forward and took Suliang's arm. "Mr. Lang, my advantages can no longer hold up." As she spoke, Ye Fei's pretty face turned a little blushing and she felt a little embarrassed. Although I had already had a hunch that I might be the first among the sisters to be unable to hold on. But this was too fast, and we didn't even get halfway through the journey. After looking at the distance traveled along the way, Suliang smiled and patted Ye Fei's little head. "You have done a great job. Let me take you for the rest of the journey." "Say it." Suliang bent down and held Princess Ye Fei directly in his arms. Curling up in her husband's arms, with her little head pressed against her husband's chest, feeling the protection of his breath, Ye Fei felt that her whole body relaxed, and she unconsciously hugged him with her hands. "What should I do if I feel so comfortable in Lang Jun's arms that I don't want to get up at all?" Looking at this scene, Qin Binjiao and others gritted their teeth in envy. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 696. If I had known earlier that my husband would treat me like this if I couldn't hold on any longer, then I wouldn't have persevered so hard before. How could I miss such a great opportunity to have sex with my husband? Then, Qin Binjiao also raised her hand. "Suliang, I can't do it either. Go away, you haven't even used half of your true energy." Oh. All the way to the end, Suliang was surrounded by people. First it was Ye Fei, then Tao Yao Yao and Mu Qingqian, and later Qin Wanyu and Ying Kaoj also joined in. To the end. It was clear that Qin Binjiao still had some true energy left, but she also came to Suliang's side and even hung on Suliang's back. Together with Ye Fei, one is holding her in front and the other is carrying her in the back. This scene looks very interesting. According to Qin Binjiao, she was being cautious. Who knows what kind of dangers we will encounter later. Of course, we should keep a little more of this kind of real energy. And what she has is the ability of time and space, which is unpredictable and very suitable for running away. If he encounters an unbeatable enemy, Qin Binjiao can still leave with everyone. Suliang expressed doubts about this explanation. With this lineup, can we really encounter any unbeatable enemies? Even if he is an immortal in the sky, Suliang would dare to kill him for you. It's not that Suliang is inflated, it's that this lineup is just too strong. But, after all, she is my girlfriend. Since she is happy, let her be. It just consumes a little more real energy, and the amount consumed is really nothing compared to the total amount Suliang has. Nothing to worry about at all. Then, that's all. Everyone moved very quickly and walked all the way to the end of the road and arrived in front of the light door. And at this time, a lot of people have gathered here. Although Sul Yang, 11 Heng, Ji Hongchen, and Wan Qing are all among the best. But after all, there are Ye Fei and others in the team, so it is understandable that the speed is slower. Sul Yang stopped in front of the light door and looked around. The people who can come here have gone through a selection process, and they are all the strongest people in the world. Only such people can fight for the throne and achieve the only throne. Sul Yang had long been mentally prepared for this. After seeing Sul Yang and others, the others' expressions became serious. Really? They were not blocked by this mere road at all. Right. A shadow of the past, Ji Hongchen's presence is just a road with some obstacles, and there is no reason to stop them. But such a strong person is not a good thing for the struggle for hegemony. If possible, we should get rid of it as soon as possible. Look at each other. Several waves of people have already made their decisions after a short exchange. We must find a way to stop these people before the end of the Imperial Road. Mu Qingqian stood next to Sul Yang, watching these people stop in front of the light door, and asked curiously. Senior brother Su, why don't they go in? After all, it's a battle for imperial hegemony. Who knows what dangers there might be? Sul Yang smiled and said. They are all waiting for the first person to act and help them explore the way. If there is no danger, everyone will be happy. If there is danger, others will naturally go ahead and help them explore the way. Well, what if no one wants to be the first one in? Don't worry, someone will definitely think about it. Even if they don't want to, they will definitely let someone think about it. Sul Yang explained with a smile, but that smile was so meaningful that it made people feel a little shudder just by looking at it. And the next moment, as if to confirm Sul Yang's words, among the crowd not far away, there was a burst of chaos, spiritual energy chaos, and real energy fluctuations. Looking carefully, it turned out to be a fight. And the people who got into the fight seemed to have been friends all along. They were walking side by side and seemed to have a very good relationship. Rat. A man in green turned red and cursed angrily. Why did I become friends with a despicable person like you? Instead, I believed you. In front of him, the man in black who was fighting with him said nothing and just kept attacking. In the face of opportunities, especially opportunities like dialogue, who cares whether you are a friend or not, whether you believe it or not? As long as some dangers can be eliminated, so what if they are friends? Apparently, those who hold such thoughts are not in the minority here. Only. It's just that the man in black couldn't keep his temper and took action first. Because he was caught off guard and was attacked by surprise, he had already suffered some injuries. In addition, his own cultivation level is weaker than that of the man in black. Soon, the man in green was defeated and was caught in the hands of the man in black. I'm sorry. For the future of this friend of mine, I ask you to explore the way. The man in black squinted his eyes and said, dragging the man in green directly to the light door and throwing him in. But the next moment, from the light door, a huge claw suddenly poked out, and with a thunderous momentum that could tear the sky apart, it struck directly on the two of them. Moment. Without even a scream, the two of them were smashed to pieces on the spot, unable to be put back together. This scene. Let everyone become solemn. Although it was a sudden sneak attack, the two people themselves had transcendent cultivation, and they were even infinitely close to the divine bridge. But just like that, they were all killed directly. It is conceivable that the existence behind that light gate is probably very powerful and cannot be underestimated. Sure enough, as expected of the Imperial Road, there are dangers everywhere. Sul Yang rubbed his chin and thought for a moment, then said to his ladies. Let's go over and take a look. No matter what, if you want to enter the Imperial path, you must pass this level. You can't escape, and you can't always count on others to take action for you. The strong strength gave Suliang great confidence and made him fearless. No matter what is behind the light door, as long as there is danger, Suliang will have the courage to take his wives all the way through it. Then, under the gaze of everyone, Suliang and others came to the light door together. Moment. Just like before, the claw immediately came out and slapped Suliang and others. This moment, Suliang could see clearly that this claw seemed to be very similar to the claws of Ying Kaoj when he was in the tyrant posture. That is to say, after this, is it a real dragon? All we can say is that it is indeed Dailu, and even such a legendary creature exists. There was some sigh in his heart, but Suliang was dissatisfied with the movement of his hand, so he directly pulled out his sword and struck it with one strike. This sword is simple and unpretentious, and does not contain any changes in the way of swordsmanship. However, it is the most simple sword. With just one sword, it has no flaws and has reached the state of transformation. In an instant, the sword intention soared into the sky, shattering the sky and the clouds. The sword energy was raging in all directions. Even if it was far away, its extreme sharpness actually made those strong men in the world feel a sting. Next moment, the sword energy hit the real dragon's claws hard. Roar! There was a roar of pain, and a bone-deep wound was cut on the huge dragon claw. Drops of blood spilled out, like rain. The dragon's claws flapped randomly, almost going crazy, vowing to kill all Suliang and others here. Everyone else who saw the scene was in high spirits. Whether Suliang killed the real dragon or the real dragon killed Suliang and others, it's all good for them. However, what happened next was completely beyond their expectations. There was absolutely no intention of fighting the real dragon. Suliang and his ladies walked towards the light door as if strolling in the courtyard. If the real dragon's claw attacked, he would symbolically cut out his sword to resist and repel it. Then, my villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 697. Suliang and others just walked in. Everyone watching the scene was stunned. Something's wrong, it's completely different from the script. It was agreed that if Suliang had a fight with the real dragon claw, either the owner behind the claw would die, or Suliang and others would die. Why didn't the great battle that I imagined happen? In this case, what should people like me do? Isn't it necessary to deal with a real dragon that is in a furious state, but its strength does not hinder it much? In this way, the difficulty directly rises. If it was just hard mode before, it is now directly upgraded to hell mode. This will inevitably lead to heavy casualties. Looking at each other, for a moment, these strong men didn't know what to do. Can only say, the development of things has far exceeded their expectations, and even they don't know what to do for a while. The other side. After walking into the light door, everyone felt their eyes light up, and then, everything suddenly opened up. The road that was outside before continued to extend in front, until it reached the horizon that was too far away to be seen. And what appeared in front of them could be said to be almost the entire world. Just by looking at it, they can tell that this is already a complete world that is almost as good as the real world and the abyss, but the small worlds they saw before are not of the same scale and level at all. Even Suliang and others can feel the breath of Tao and the complete laws of the world here. Chapter 600 Chapter 599 We are fighting life and death, is it appropriate for you to show affection? Then, before they could express their emotions and surprise, there was an angry roar of a dragon, and then, a real dragon swooped towards Suliang and the others, menacingly and with boundless killing intent. To this, Suliang just knocked it back with one sword, and then left with his wives. What else can I do if I don't leave? Do we still have to fight with it here to the death? It's really not necessary. 11 Hing, Ji Hongchen, Wan Qing, and others all know this. But Mu Qingqian asked in confusion. Senior brother Su, shouldn't we defeat it and kill it? In her mind, when venturing into the secret realm, all the ferocious beasts that blocked the way should be killed. Why was it bypassed directly this time? Why behead? Su Liang asked with a smile. Since we can leave directly across it, there is no need to kill it. It is just a waste of effort. Besides, leaving it here can help us stop the people behind us. Isn't that a good thing? As soon as these words came out, Qin Benjiao and others fell silent. It turns out that you are such a gentleman. They didn't expect that their husband would be so evil now. And everyone obviously accepts this reason. Then, Su Liang and others continued walking along this road without any further hesitation. However, after walking only a short distance, Su Liang stopped. Su Liang, what's wrong? Qin Benjiao asked curiously. Do you feel anything is wrong? Su Liang asked with a frown. At the same time, he subconsciously looked back. Something wrong? Nothing. All the girls shook their heads, even 11 Hang and Ji Hongchen, and didn't notice anything wrong at all. I always feel that we haven't gone out at all, but we haven't stayed still. Su Liang still didn't let go. According to their speed, after walking for such a long time, they should have reached the end of the road long ago. However, looking back, they have indeed come a long way. But looking further ahead, the distance ahead is still very far, as if it has not shortened at all. But in Su Liang's perception, they were not standing still, and the distance they had traveled was clearly real. Such a result is very contradictory. Benjiao, can you try using the power of space to sense it? Su Liang said tentatively. He was very suspicious that the power of space was deployed on this road, distorting all the space here, and even looping it. Qin Benjiao didn't know why, but her space power was often probed, but she always found nothing. But out of trust in her husband, Qin Benjiao didn't ask any more questions and still sensed it. Immediately afterwards. Huh! Qin Benjiao exclaimed, a little surprised. The space here is so strange. In her perception, the space in front of them was like a maze. Among countless arrangements, there was only one winding road leading to the front. But this road is too tortuous. If you just rely on luck and your own perception, it is impossible to find the right road. Even Qin Benjiao's space power was concealed at first. And if they can't take the right path, they may end up like them now, experiencing infinite space stretching. They feel that they are indeed moving forward, but in fact, they are just moving forward in a space that continues to extend. Unless the speed exceeds the speed of space extension, or this arrangement is broken with absolute force. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll never get out. Even when I look back, I experience the same spatial extension. After informing everyone about the results of his perception, everyone felt a little surprised. What's going on with this imperial road? Why are there so many magical arrangements? Tao Yaoyao felt a little emotional. Although her eldest sister had the power of space, such arrangement of space was really unheard of. Once you step in, if you don't have keen perception, you may not even know that you have been tricked, let alone crack it. This is completely a killer arrangement. Benjiao, is there any way to take us out? Su Liang asked. Among the people now, the only one with space power is Qin Benjiao. Su Liang could directly break through these arrangements, but it was really not necessary. There are still many people behind. Since we are fighting for hegemony, we must naturally try our best to keep those people behind. Well, no problem, but everyone must follow me closely, follow my footsteps, and don't make a mistake in a step. Qin Benjiao said seriously. Otherwise, I'm afraid we will be separated by space, and even I won't be able to do anything about it. The person who arranged this method here is really a bit too strong, far surpassing Qin Benjao in all aspects. Qin Benjao can sense it and can decipher it according to the rules, but there is really nothing more that can be done. Everyone nodded in agreement. Then, under the leadership of Qin Benjao, Suliang and others finally passed here smoothly. Suliang, you are awesome, right? Qin Benjao put her hands on her hips and said proudly. Rewards, people want rewards. On the Imperial Road, the bonfire was burning and making noises. Suliang and others were sitting around the bonfire, having a barbecue. It stands to reason. Things like barbecue are completely incompatible with the Imperial Road. It is obviously a very serious and dangerous trial road, but Suliang and others turned it into a place like a bonfire party. This feeling is really a bit subtle. But Suliang and others are very calm. Even if it is a trial, they still need to replenish their energy. Although along the way, it seems that I have not traveled to many places, nor have I experienced many trials. But each one is complicated and difficult, and consumes a lot of money for everyone. Anyway, I'm not in a hurry, let's eat something first. After taking a look at the masters approaching in the distance, Suliang was not worried at all. Here, there is a trial about space. If you are not strong enough to a certain extent, or have the ability to deal with space like your girlfriend, it will be difficult to get out of it. Suliang and others can continue after eating and drinking enough. And the other side? Qin Benjao pouted, feeling very unhappy. He was so spicy just now, but Lang Jun only rewarded himself with a barbecue. Or a barbecue for everyone. How can this be enough? What Qin Benjao hopes for is to be close to her husband. It's good now, there's no stickers or anything left, only a barbecue is left. Not happy, very unhappy. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 698. But there was no other way. After all, the people behind were almost catching up. Sticking and so on were completely out of place, and Qin Benjao knew it. Suliang, I want to eat this. Qin Benjao pointed at the thing in Suliang's hand and pouted. It was obvious that what she was holding was exactly the same as what Suliang was holding. But Qin Benjao just wants the one in her husband's hands. It's so hard to post, why don't you allow yourself to be the first to eat what Lang Jun makes? No one can rob me, otherwise, I will be angry with her. Then, Tan Kinja took the baked thing from Suliang's hand very naturally and tasted it. Well, it's indeed a liang. This level is as stable as ever. Tapping her head lightly, Tan Kinja was obviously very satisfied with the taste. Master, you and I are at odds with each other. Qin Benjao let out a pitiful wail, and her mentality exploded. Wow, woo, Lang Jun's stickers are incredible, and now even the thing that Lang Jun was the first to make is incredible. They don't deserve it. So, Master, Suliang, love will disappear, right? Seeing his girlfriend's tearful eyes, Suliang almost couldn't help laughing. Okay, come on, I have a lot more here. Suliang took his girlfriend's hand, held her in his arms, gently touched his girlfriend's little head, and handed the thing in his hand to her mouth. That's pretty much it? Suliang is the best. Qin Benjao almost cried after being lost and found again. She leaned comfortably in her husband's arms while eating barbecue and glaring at her master. Master, let me tell you, don't think that I will forgive you just like this. It's impossible. If you don't apologize to others and coax them well, it's absolutely impossible for them to forgive you. What do I want your forgiveness for? Tan Kinja just glanced at Qin Benjao and said lightly. Just this sentence almost made Qin Benjao break through her defense again. Without any choice. Suliang had no choice but to hug his girlfriend tightly and comfort her. After a long time, Qin Binjao finally stopped being angry. And at the same time, those strong men who were lagging behind have also caught up. Everyone was panting and bruised. When they saw Sul Yang, they all gritted their teeth, with anger and hatred on their faces. It's him. He was obviously the first one to walk in here, but he didn't kill the real dragon guarding the Emperor's road at all. Instead, he angered it. Outside the door, they were attacked by the real dragon's anger, and after they finally broke through the blockage of the real dragon's claws and walked in here, what he faced was a furious real dragon. Of course, they paid a huge price and died countless times before they finally broke through. When I see Sul Yang now, I want to kill him directly. And now, Sul Yang in front of them was still beautiful, eating barbecue. The mentality of these strong men is simply explosive. Go, leave him alone. Someone said in a deep voice, suppressing the anger in his heart and wanting to lead the person forward. Sul Yang was already much stronger than them, but now he saw their vigilance. With the way they were injured now, there was no way they could be Sul Yang's opponents. I can only endure this breath for the time being and wait to talk about it later. Then, these strong men were all trapped in the maze of space, and none of them could escape. What's going on? Aren't we always moving forward? Why are we still so far away from the Holy Lord and the others? Something's wrong, something's very wrong here. What is this, a phantom array? No, it's probably not an illusion array. Let me feel it for a while. Hey, that's strange. Why can't I feel anything? Listening to their words, Qin Binjao and others almost laughed out loud. It was only after my husband left for a long time that I realized something was wrong. How could you possibly find out the reason if you don't have the cultivation and wisdom of my husband? They did realize something was wrong faster than Sul Yang, but that was also because Sul Yang was right in front of them. With reference, it is naturally easier to compare. If it weren't for Sul Yang, they might not even be able to discover the reason. And just then, one person suddenly increased his speed. His figure was like lightning, leaving behind a series of after-images, and in just an instant, he walked out of the maze. Sul Yang and others were a little surprised by this. This is because his speed is faster than the extension speed of space, so he can get out of it. Only, this requires extreme speed, and there are probably not many people in the world who can master it. And when this person broke through, the weak spatial fluctuation caused by it was also captured by many people. Then, this group of experts took out their own space treasures one after another and used various methods to finally get out of it. Sul Yang was not surprised by this. There are very few people in this world with the power of time and space, but there are many treasures with the power of time and space. With their strength and status, it is normal to find some. Seeing that many people were already walking in front of him, Sul Yang and others stopped delaying, packed up, got up and continued to move forward. And not far in front of Sul Yang, about a dozen people gathered together, muttering, not knowing what they were talking about. Sul Yang didn't pay attention, but secretly increased his vigilance. But at this moment, among the dozen or so people, 2 people suddenly fell down. Moment. The others were all furious, a little anxious, and frantically checked out the situation of these 2 people. And this moment, Sul Yang also frowned. He could naturally tell that these people were clearly acting to attract him and then kill him. But he clearly saw that these 2 people were really gone. Sul Yang, the one in front is. Qin Binjao pulled Sul Yang's hand with some confusion and asked in a low voice. In response, Sul Yang just shook his head and said nothing more. From the beginning, Sul Yang concluded that these people were acting out deliberately in order to lower their vigilance and suddenly attack him when he walked by. But now, Sul Yang clearly sensed that the 2 people had made no sound, and there might have been something unexpected. And the other side. Those who were preparing to attack and kill them acted even harder when they saw Suliang approaching. Only by performing more realistically can he attract Suliang's attention and achieve his goal. This time, the biggest variable in the struggle for imperial hegemony must be eradicated as soon as possible. Glancing at the two companions lying on the ground, these people felt a little admired. I had never noticed before that these two people actually have such abilities. Their acting skills are really extraordinary. The performances are so similar that even the breath, pulse, and vitality have disappeared, as if something really happened. Wrong. It's just a performance. The breath and vitality can only be covered up for a while. How could it disappear directly? Could something really happen? This moment. These people all panicked. I originally planned to use this method to plan against Suliang, but I didn't expect that before I could do anything to Suliang, I lost two people on my side. This is too outrageous. What on earth is going on? These people looked confused. And when Suliang and others passed by them, these people couldn't bear it anymore and pointed at Suliang and asked sternly, "Suliang, tell me, was it you who did this?" Hearing this, Suliang looked confused. Should I start? What did I do? Why did I start? But after taking a look at the two people who had made no sound, Suliang shook his head and laughed. Why, you have a problem yourself, and instead of finding the cause, you blame me. Humph, we act openly and above board. If you think about it carefully, I only offended you by planning to attack you just now. Tell me, who else would do something to us besides you? Someone snorted coldly and spoke very rudely. However, as soon as he said these words, even he noticed something was wrong. Now that you have all assassinated me, why don't you allow me to fight back? Even they themselves feel that this makes no sense at all. Shaking his head, Suliang ignored them. Instead, he knelt down and tapped his fingers lightly on the ground. He saw clearly just now that the two people suddenly lost all life after they touched the ground. And the moment he touched the ground. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womang. Chapter 699. Suddenly, there was a force that silently pierced into his mind, like a needle, extremely fast, and carrying a murderous aura. However, this little trick had no effect in front of Suliang. Just for a moment, Suliang noticed the existence of this energy and controlled it. After carefully sensing and analyzing it, Suliang looked at the road under his feet with some surprise. There seems to be some formation on it. When someone comes into contact with it, the formation will be activated and an attack directed at the soul will be released. This must be the case for the two people who lost their breath before. I really didn't expect that there is such a layout here. Is it worthy of being called the Imperial Road? Danger is indeed everywhere. If you are not careful, you may die here. For a moment, even Suliang felt a little emotional. After telling his wife about his findings, Suliang seriously warned. Be sure to be careful not to touch the ground here. The attack against the soul was too fast and too subtle. If it was really hit, even Suliang might not be able to detect or react in time. After hearing Suliang's words, the girls looked at the ground under their feet that exuded ancient aura, and became much more wary. Then, leaving those people there and not caring about them anymore, Suliang took his wives and continued walking forward. Along the way, Suliang and others experienced many trials, such as thunder, ice, and flames, powerful enemies, and so on and so forth, which made Suliang feel very strange. He discovered that each of these trials seemed to have its own purpose. Just like the gate-suppressing dragon when he entered before, it was aimed at courage and combat effectiveness. The space maze that follows is a test of insight. And the following ones are also tests for the body, true energy, soul, etc. If you put these contents together, I always feel that this is a kind of filtering. Screen out candidates who agree with the requirements for existence at the end of this imperial road. As for the others, either retreat as soon as possible or die here, it is your choice. After telling Qin Benjao and others about their thoughts, Qin Benjao and others looked at each other. For a moment, they all thought that this idea was too shocking. But, is there really anything at the end of this imperial road? 11 Hang couldn't help but ask. The person who exists at the end of this imperial road, isn't that a great emperor? But since such a person exists, why do we need to break through this imperial road? The stronger your cultivation level, the better you can understand some so-called taboos. Among the people present, only 11 Hang, Ji Hongchen and Wan Qing understood the meaning of Suliang's words. They were frightened. Try to prepare as early as possible. Suliang raised his head and took a deep look into the depths of the imperial road. Do not know why. In front of his eyes, that beautiful figure in white suddenly appeared. Its origin is mysterious and has no records. Not even Liu Sugenjun or even Wan Qing, who is ascending, has discovered its existence. Emperor, that's all, right? This moment. Even Suliang was shocked by his guess. But don't know why. He always felt that his guess seemed to be correct. He shook his head and didn't think more about it. Suliang continued walking forward with his ladies. And along the way, it is rare to see strong men who fall on this imperial road. Although these tests are very simple for Suliang and others stop and go, so their speed is naturally slower than others. If you calculate carefully, they have already reached the last echelon. But Suliang is not worried about this. Reaching the end early may be beneficial, but he will not be a key factor in the final victory. Regarding the Emperor's throne, it is not something that can be solved easily. Not long after, under the pursuit of Suliang and others, they finally passed all the trials and are about to reach the deepest point of the imperial road. However, what appeared in front of Suliang and others was a tall and towering city. On the city, there are 3 words Beatty City written on it, as if they were written by rules. Just one glance at it will give rise to countless insights. In front of Beatty City, there are countless powerful people surrounding it. In front of Beatty City, all the surviving strong men gathered here. For a time, the front of the city was very noisy and bustling, making it look very lively and chaotic. However, when Suliang and others came here, the atmosphere here suddenly became quiet. Everyone looked at Suliang with different expressions, but there was a hint of vigilance in their eyes. Sure enough, this person did not die in the trial on the road so easily. Someone sighed, as if he was sorry. But then he became vigilant again. 11 He Ying, Ji Hongchen, Wan Qing, and Jing Meng, these 4 people themselves are recognized as strong men by the world. Even if the 4 of them are separated, few can defeat them, let alone being together now. Chapter 601 Chapter 600 White Clothes, the source of the truth. Not to mention, there is also Suliang among them, whose strength is incomprehensible but has extremely strong oppressive power. This combination, even if it is said to be the strongest combination in the world, is definitely not an exaggeration. No matter who you meet, it will be the result of pushing them past. How could it not alert others to this? Suliang and others were very calm and didn't care at all. This time, everyone came here for the so-called proclaimed emperor. In this case, then they are enemies to each other and there is no need to hold hands. What does it matter whether they are enemies or not? Even if everyone is watching, Suliang is confident that he can win the final victory. Looking left and right, Suliang smiled faintly as he saw that the atmosphere on the field became more and more serious as he and others appeared. He knew that after passing through countless trials, in this Imperial Road, the real battle for Imperial Road hegemony was about to begin. This time, it was a big battle where everyone was mixed together. Compared with this, the previous battle at the entrance was probably a small fight. Suliang walked through the crowd without any scruples and came straight to Beatty City. Looking at the three words Beatty City, for some reason, a beautiful figure appeared in front of his eyes. It seemed to be a beautiful figure dressed in white, with an proud figure. Although the face could not be seen clearly, it made people feel extremely beautiful. Seem just like a real fairy in the sky, it is very unforgettable for people to take a look at it. Is it really her? Suliang looked at the majestic city with a trace of confusion in his eyes. And just then, the group of strong masters who came here could no longer bear it. The end of the Imperial Road is in front of you, and the opportunity to become emperor is just around the corner. Even if there is only one status, the others may have to leave sadly, so what? Who can guarantee that the person who calls himself emperor cannot be himself? With such an opportunity in front of you, who can endure it so calmly or even think about other things? Then, someone took a step forward and came to the crowd. Since you are all here to compete for the throne, how about we formulate a rule together? Rules? What rules? Someone asked confusedly, instinctively feeling that something was wrong. Do we really need any rules for this kind of individual struggle for hegemony? Even if you tell the rules, who can listen and believe them? Isn't this nonsense? But the person who spoke seemed not to notice, and continued to talk to himself. How about we arrange a schedule and have an arena battle? Of course, in order to make the progress faster, we might as well have a will battle, one after another, the loser goes off, the winner stays. At the end, who is still standing on the ring, it is considered a victory. How about it? However, as soon as these words came out, no one paid any attention to them. There is no stupid person who can come here. How could he be deceived? In a will battle, even a strong person cannot withstand the losses of so many people, right? I'm afraid this arrangement is just for his own convenience, right? Thinking like this, everyone looked at the person speaking in front of them. His strength is already the weakest among everyone present. If it were a normal melee, it would be impossible for him to persist until the end. So, only then did he think of such a method. After all the strong men were exhausted, he appeared again to pick the peaches. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 700. But, do you really think everyone else is that stupid? Then, for a moment, no one paid any attention to him. Even. There is also the word human. He sneered and scolded. Roll. As soon as these words came out. How does he not know that his thoughts have been known to others? But he didn't want to give up this opportunity. After all, his strength is too weak. If he fights for hegemony in the normal way, he will really die here and gain nothing. Because of this, the man opened his mouth and wanted to say something. But the words haven't left his mouth yet. Then a powerful sword energy suddenly appeared, passed through the body, and pierced the man. This scene. Everyone who saw it was shocked. Even if they are all ready to fight, after all, they are all strong men in this world, who can take action so easily. The atmosphere at this moment is extremely tense, and the slightest disturbance can trigger a big war. Not to mention someone making the first move. Then, this moment, everyone began to curse secretly in their hearts. Damn it, who dares to take action casually? Everyone looked in the direction of the sword energy, but it was just right. Seeing Suliang among the crowd. Immediately, everything came to a sudden realization. They had seen Suliang's moves. His sword skills were superb, and the move just now was also made with sword energy. So, it was him, He must have done it. Are you so ruthless when you take someone's life? For a while, everyone became alert and nervous. And the other side. Feeling the attention of everyone, Suliang was stunned for a moment, and then spread his hands, looking very indifferent and even unwilling to defend. Suliang didn't even bother to do this kind of thing behind the scenes. And just now, he had already felt the sword energy coming from a location not far from him. Obviously, this is framing Suliang. But so what? Suliang didn't bother to explain at all. He was going to have a big fight and be targeted. In this case, what's the difference if it was earlier or later? Suliang, it's really you. Someone stared at Suliang with an angry look. I don't know how he provoked you and made you do such a cruel thing. You are really too cruel. You can do it if you want. Where did all this nonsense come from? Suliang raised his head, glanced at the person who spoke, and said calmly. Just this sentence made the man retreat in confusion, his face turned red, and he did not dare to say another word. He just wanted to muddy the waters, but he didn't intend to be the first to attack Suliang. That would kill someone. However, just the next moment, behind that man, suddenly there was a sword beam looming horizontally, slashing towards Suliang. Immediately, his own figure came from behind him. Everyone, this group of people are acting unscrupulously because of their advanced cultivation and strong strength. If this afternoon continues, we may be in trouble. Why don't we join forces and face the powerful enemy together? The words just fell. Several responses sounded from everywhere, and immediately, several people moved their hands in Suliang's direction. In unison, everyone took action against Suliang, with a tacit understanding. After all, Suliang and his group are too strong and the threat is too great. This has almost become a generally accepted fact. If they are not driven out, the throne will inevitably fall into their hands without any suspense. There may be other trials and tests in the future. At this moment, at least they are no match for Suliang and others. That being the case, it would be better to join forces to eliminate Suliang and others first, and then discuss other matters. Suliang had already been prepared for this situation. Ever since he and his wives appeared, they have been targeted by everyone. Although they have not succeeded so far, at least Suliang has understood how conspicuous he and others are. Think about it, a group of strong men who are still under the rules of this world are vying for the same opportunity, but there is Suliang among them. His cultivation level has surpassed the peak of this world, and he also has several people who are stronger than everyone else. The most powerful person comes. No matter what you think, you will be targeted, right? Then, the moment he was attacked, Suliang had already reacted and smashed all the attacks. But he himself first enveloped Qin Benjao with his true energy, defeating Kaoch and the others. There is no way, now it is a battle with the most top beings in the world. Suliang can easily deal with these people, but his wife cannot. The strength of Qin Benjao and others is still a little bit weaker. After all, they are the most talented beings of the younger generation. With their current strength, they are already very good. There is no need to compare with those strong men of the older generation. This is no longer a battle that Qin Benjao and others can get involved in. If you are not careful, you may be seriously injured. Naturally, Suliang will not allow such a thing to happen. Comparing his fingers to sword fingers, Suliang's eyes scanned the crowd, and soon he locked on a target. Get out of here! With a slight shout, Suliang pointed out, and the surging sword energy shot out, instantly branching out a channel in that direction, directly finding Suliang's target and wrapping it up. Immediately, he even carried him tightly all the way to Suliang. Were you the ones who struck out with the sword just now? Suliang glanced at this man lightly. You all regard me as your enemy. I don't care. However, if you want to slander me in this way, do you have any misunderstandings about me? Do you really think I'm that easy to bully? Suliang suddenly caught him out. Although the man was panicked, he still spoke harshly. Why do you say that to me? There is no evidence, you are clearly slandering me. Evidence? No need. Suliang shook his head. We have to deal with everyone equally. I don't need to slander anyone, and I don't need to explain anything to anyone. Suliang slowly drew out his sword and put it against the man's neck. Do you have anything else to say? Me. The man was completely panicked. It was indeed him who was behind the scenes just now, inciting Suliang and others to start a fight so that he could benefit. But he really didn't expect that Suliang could find him so easily, and that he would still have the strength to attack him amidst everyone's siege. This is really too strong. It's really unbelievable. And just when Suliang was speaking, the offensive of the surrounding strong masters did not stop. Who used the swords just now, and whether Suliang was unjust or not, it no longer matters to them. This moment when we have a tacit understanding to attack Suliang together is the most important. Now that we have this opportunity, we naturally cannot let it go. Just when Suliang was talking to the man, 11 Hing, Ji Hongchen, Wan Qing, Jing Meng, and others had already stopped in front of him and fought with everyone. For a while, they were able to do everything with ease. The huge gap in individual strength cannot be compared in quantity within a short period of time. And this time, Suliang had already knocked away the person in front of him with a sword and looked at the people around him. Suliang frowned slightly and sighed. I didn't want to show much strength, but I was being targeted from the beginning. This time, it was a little difficult for Suliang to hide even if he wanted to. The enemy is not very strong, but there are too many of them. Even Suliang, if he doesn't strike harder, may not be able to solve the situation here in a short time. Then, Suliang Fei flew above the crowd, flipped his palm, and the holy artifact Reizo appeared in his hand. Immediately, after accumulating a little strength, Lei Zhang slashed out with his sword. Moment. The sword intent soared into the sky, as if it was going to tear the whole world apart, and vaguely, the whole world seemed to be trembling. And immediately after, a ray of sword light spread out in an arc, and in just an instant, it passed over the crowd and hit those people directly. There were sounds of people vomiting blood and flying backwards. Under Suliang's sword, countless people vomited blood and flew backwards, making it difficult to get up for a while.